Hi, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Hunter back with the last chapter of Indian Shoes. Our last chapter is titled Night Fishing. Bring, a ring, a ring, a ling. The alarm jingled in the darkness, but Ray couldn't jangle his bones for it. Sleep knitted his eyelids, and a Cherokee Seven Clans quilt wrapped him cozy and safe. A few weeks ago, Ray and Grandpa had driven down to Oklahoma in their new pickup. The old country house where they were staying belonged to Uncle Leonard and Aunt Wilhelmina, and it overlooked a shimmering lake. "You coming, Sleepy Bones?" Grandpa Half Moon called from the doorway. "Too tired," Ray mumbled, breathing deeply to the hum of the air conditioner, promising himself tomorrow night would be different. After Grandpa had already gone to the lake and come on back, the smell of bacon finally roused Ray. "No fish today?" Ray asked, stumbling out of the bedroom. "Plenty in the lake, Sleepy Bones," Grandpa said. He pulled off his lucky hat and sank into a recliner. "But I was after something bigger." Before Ray could ask what he meant, Grandpa was snoring like a rusty hen. Zzz. In the kitchen, Uncle Leonard poured the orange juice while Aunt Wilhelmina crackled fried bacon, hash browns, and onions. "No fish today," Ray said, setting out the forks and spoons. Aunt Wilhelmina chuckled. "Maybe even fish need to sleep sometime." Since they'd arrived in Oklahoma, Ray had gone fishing with Grandpa every afternoon. But then summer started sizzling, and Grandpa started heading out long before sunrise. Every night, Grandpa asked Ray to join him, but Ray couldn't seem to leave his books be to get enough sleep. He just loved to read into the late, late night. "It's the hat," Uncle Leonard said. "He told you not to wash his lucky hat." "Drat that hat," Aunt Wilhelmina answered. "It made the whole house smell fishy." "It's not the hat," Ray told her. "Grandpa caught one catfish after you washed it." In the heavy midday heat, Ray holed up in the shady treehouse that Uncle Leonard had built many years before. The lake blue sky stretched to the horizon. The water below glittered beneath the sun. It was quiet, too. No rattling trains or trash can bands. Ray could hear the squirrels play tag from limb to limb, and he settled in to listen. After a while, Uncle Leonard climbed up the wooden ladder to bring Ray a thermos of Aunt Wilhelmina's icy homemade lemonade. "What brings you to my old tree house?" Uncle Leonard wanted to know. Ray took a sip and explained, "It's easier to think up here, and I'm trying to figure out why Grandpa hasn't been catching any fish." "That's some mystery," Uncle Leonard replied. "Before your grandpa left home for the service, he was the best fisherman in all of the county. One year, he got his picture on the front page of the Daily Press holding up a giant catfish, I think it was, bigger than most hound dogs." That sounded like a mighty big catfish to Ray, but he'd heard fishing stories before. Later, the sinking sun swelled pumpkin orange and sweet violet. Ray found Grandpa working in Aunt Wilhelmina's vegetable garden. "I'm going with you early tomorrow morning," Ray declared. "We'll bring Aunt Wilhelmina and Uncle Leonard home a whole bucket of fish." "I'd like to see you up at that hour, Sleepy Bones," Grandpa Half Moon said, plucking a plump tomato. But we're not going just for fish." "What else are we after?" Ray asked. "Something bigger," is all Grandpa would say. Ray followed Grandpa to the porch, where Uncle Leonard rocked on the creaky swing and read the Cherokee Advocate on his laptop computer. "Any news about something in the lake?" Ray asked. "Maybe a gator?" "Sorry, Ray," Uncle Leonard replied. "No gators in the headlines today." Ray tried again. "What about a plesiosaur?" "Please what?" Aunt Wilhelmina asked, opening the storm door. "It's like a swimming dinosaur," Ray answered. He'd read that scientists sometimes found animals that were thought to be long extinct. "Are we after one of those?" Grandpa shook his head and grinned. "Let me guess," Ray said. "Something bigger." Come bedtime, Ray shut his mystery book and announced, "I'm going fishing later on with Grandpa." "In the middle of the night?" Aunt Wilhelmina asked. "I finished up my reading early," Ray explained, "so I'll be able to get some sleep before it's time to go." Aunt Wilhelmina took the reading flashlight Ray had stashed beneath his bed. Then she kissed his forehead and said, I'm just doing my part to help out. Bring-a-ring-a-ring-a-ling. The alarm jangled in the darkness, but Ray couldn't jangle his bones for it. Sleep knitted his eyelids, and a Cherokee Seven Clans quilt wrapped him cozy and safe. Does that paragraph sound familiar? Do you remember that paragraph? It's the same paragraph that opened up the chapter. Let's see what happens. Will he be able to get up? You coming, Sleepy Bones? Grandpa Half Moon called from the doorway. Too tired, Ray mumbled, breathing deeply to the hum of the air conditioner, promising himself tomorrow night would be different. Then the alarm jangled again. Bring-a-ring-a-ring-a-ling. And Ray's sleepy bones tossed on a pair of cutoffs and a powwow t-shirt. Curiosity had won out. Long before sunrise, Grandpa and Ray sat side by side on the dock. Grandpa Half Moon wore his lucky hat. Ray lifted his lantern and peered out onto the lapping lake. He didn't see anything unusual. After a while, Grandpa handed Ray a fishing rod and cast his own line into the water. The shadow of a hawk crossed the moon, and Ray wondered what it might be like to sail the skies. He still didn't see anything strange or different or even especially big unless he counted the lake itself or the distant shadowy tree line. Boip! Down went the float into the lake water, and ka-splash! Up came a bass, tugging at the line. Grandpa knew how to play him, though, and that bass landed soon enough in the bucket. Ray couldn't wait to tell Uncle Leonard. Grandpa was fishing like he was the best in the county again. That's some fish, Ray said. Sure is, Grandpa Half Moon replied, patting Ray on the shoulder. Moon slipped away. Water splashed the dock. Ducks drifted by. Suddenly, a fireball zoomed across the heavens, leaving a dusty, glowing trail. A shooting star, Ray exclaimed, jumping to his bare feet, wondering if that had been what Grandpa was talking about. But the streak looked no bigger than a cruising gator, a quacking duck, or even an ornery old bass. Something didn't quite add up. Just then, a glittering quilt of stars rained across the sky's inky blueness. High above Grandpa Half Moon and Ray. A mirroring array of lights reflected off the lake's shiny blackness, lapping gently below the dock. Cool, Ray whispered. Grandpa grinned and rolled back on his boot heels. I used to take your daddy fishing like this, he said, back when he was your age. I can still feel him here, now and again. Ray stood by Grandpa, breathing in the lake air, warmed by the wind. He glanced from the glittering lights in the water to the glittering lights in the heavens. So can I, Ray said. So can I. At breakfast time, Grandpa Half Moon and Ray headed back into the country house. Grandpa pulled off his lucky hat and sank into the recliner. Before long, he was snoring like a rusty hen. Zzz. Uncle Leonard tossed Ray over one shoulder and hauled him into the kitchen, where the smell of frying bacon filled the air. Any fish today? Aunt Wilhelmina asked. Yes, ma'am, Ray said. But that's not all we caught. Uncle Leonard sat Ray down. What else was there? Something bigger is all that Ray would say. So what does Ray mean by this something bigger? What was Grandpa going out to experience? It wasn't just fishing. And that's the end of Indian Shoes. I hope you enjoyed.